Y'all, tell me if you relate to this. The other day I was on Instagram and I asked my community, my ADHD community, what are you struggling with here at the end of 2022 so that I can plan some content for 2023? And I got a lot of different requests for showing and demonstrating different things, but this one tugged at my heartstrings because it hits way close to home. The sense of defeat when I realized my 2023 goals are the exact repeat of my 2022 goals. Ugh. Can you relate to this? I can tell you that I have spent so many years writing down the same goals every single year. And I'm a little embarrassed to say that it has taken me all the way into my 50s to figure out how to actually write goals down and then execute on them. Like, you would think they would teach this stuff in school. I skipped a lot, so maybe I just missed that class. But learning how to take a goal from an idea and then create an action plan to achieve it and not poop out at some point along the way evaded me for the majority of my life. And I know that a lot of my ADHD friends feel this. So I thought today what I would do is talk a little bit about goal setting and how I've approached it this year, the year that just passed. Because this is, in fact, the first year that I've really actually achieved the majority of my goals. And that is a very good and very new feeling for me. So let's start out with 3 things that I think are fundamental to setting goals that you're actually going to follow through with. And the first one is that you have to actually want it. You have to have, I hate to say a strong why, but that is exactly what it is. Because here's the thing, your brain does what it wants to do. So you can write down a goal to run a marathon because you think you want to, but if you don't actually want to get up every day and go for longer and longer runs, that marathon will never happen. And I say this as somebody who has written down that goal year after year, and it has never happened. Instead, I highly encourage you to pick goals that you actually want to do and not just achieve. So, like I said, a marathon is something I would love to achieve, but I don't actually want to run the race. I just want to say I run the race. So I hope that differential makes sense there, because 3 months from now, after you set that goal that you think is really cool and you don't actually like doing the things that are required to achieve the goal, you're going to really resent it. And that's the point where you're going to poop out. Number 2, if you are setting any more than 3 goals, then you are wasting your time, because goals number 4 through 26 of whatever it is that you're listing this year are just noise. Your top 3 goals are really the only ones that you should be focused on in the year. And I would encourage you to make one of them your primary goal, that if that goal moves forward, then it'll probably propel the other ones too as well. And that is something that's very difficult for us to do, but we really do need to narrow down and focus on what we're actually willing to commit ourselves to. And if you're not 100% willing to do everything it takes to achieve a goal, then it probably doesn't belong on your goal setting list this year. And number 3, and this is probably most important for those of you with ADHD, is that once you set your goal and you're very confident that you're going to want to follow through with it, even when your brain doesn't really want to, then the third thing you need to consider is what kind of structure, boundaries, and accountability you need to actually follow through with that goal. Let me explain. These are my 3 goals for 2023, and you'll see the top one is to create 50,000 or more in passive revenue. Hello, this is Karen of tomorrow popping into Karen of today's video to completely rip these goals apart. It's amazing what a hot meal and a good sleep will do to help you think through the nonsense that you're about to share on YouTube. So let's rip these goals apart and start over. But before we do, I should say that there was actually 5 goals on my list originally, and I've already taken 2 off. The first one was to read 24 books in the new year. Okay, that's a great goal. Reading's awesome, but is that going to change me as a human being? I read books all the time. It was dumb and inconsequential. I will not be a different person if I don't reach that goal. I won't be a different person if I do. So off that goal went. The second goal that I took off my list was that I wanted to do 2 big trips in 2023. Travel is a great goal, especially if it's something that you have to aspire to. Personally, I've already got one on the books. We just literally have to do it. And the second one is already in motion. And I've already got the means and the time available to take that trip. So, is this goal in any way pushing me or instilling growth in who I am as a person? Absolutely not. Do I still want to do it? Absolutely, but it doesn't belong on my goal list. So, with that said, now let's move on to these three extremely wet noodle goals that I'm going to rejigger. Let's start with the last one first. Retile my bathroom. I think you know what I'm going to say about this. If I retile my bathroom, does that make me a better human being? Am I going to feel like I've transformed in some way, like I've grown as a person, that I've stretched myself? Absolutely not, unless I start doing yoga in that bathroom. I am letting myself off the hook by taking fancy projects and turning them into goals. Goals to me are something that stretch me, that move me in a new direction, that I grow from as a person. Having a new bathroom is going to be way cool, but it's not really going to do much for my personal or professional development. So, in fact, that goal is actually just a fancy project, and that's exactly what it's going to be this year. And if it doesn't happen, so be it. Now, the next one is the doozy. If you've been around here for a minute, then you know I have been struggling with this whole concept of having appointments on my schedule. So, why on earth then would I set a goal to do 200 hours worth of appointments the next year intentionally? Now, the thinking behind this one was that I need a certain number of hours to get a master's certification through the International Coaching Federation. Now, that's all great, but the thing is, that's me checking off a box. That's me looking at the destination and not considering that I probably would resent every part of that journey. Now, am I going to give up on one-on-one coaching altogether? Absolutely not. But why on earth would I set a goal to maximize something that I don't actually want to maximize? I will get to that number eventually, but there's no reason why I need to push through and get it done right away. So this goal is going out the window. So this brings us down to this last goal of make $50,000 in passive revenue in 2023 and document the journey here on YouTube. Now, I love that documenting idea of showing the how behind the goal. I'm going to continue doing that. But let's talk about the number for a second. Originally, I was thinking of doing 100,000 in passive revenue in my business next year. Now, keep in mind, this is one area of revenue in my business. I have a bunch of other ones. So this is one aspect of my business that I would like to see grow in the next year. That's all great. So why 50,000 in particular? Because I looked at what I did this year and it was 25,000. So I figured it's much easier to pick a number that's double what I did this year than it is to quadruple it by the end of the year. When I broke it down into the month by month average that I would have to create in my business, it felt a little overwhelming and intimidating. So I thought I'll ease up on that goal. Instead of making it 100,000, I'll make it 50,000. But here's the thing. In reality, I really actually want to do the 100 mark. In fact, it really doesn't have anything to do with the money. What it has to do with is the ratio of income in my business. More and more, I want to move towards freedom and flexibility in my business where, yes, I'm still going to work hard and yes, I'm going to create great stuff, but I don't want to have to show up at a certain time and at a certain place in order to produce revenue. I want to have an asynchronous business. I've been saying that for a while now. So why not lean further into that first goal, make it a little audacious, and if I don't reach it, at least I will be putting my energy, my effort, and my focus into reaching it rather than falling short by giving myself a couple of wet noodle goals and another goal that probably isn't going to make that much of a difference in my life. If I choose to move forward with the six-figure goal, that will have a much bigger impact on my life, on my business, and on my time. So now that I have gotten rid of those two wet noodle goals, I am doubling down on goal number one, and I am going to aspire to the six-figure goal. I may not get it. And again, that's not really the point. The point is that I want to grow that part of my business and I want it to become the biggest revenue generator within my business overall. So that's what I'm focusing on next year, 6 figures in passive revenue. And to me, passive revenue means anything where I invest the work up front to create something and then it generates dollars after the fact in perpetuity. That's the model I'm going for, not 200 extra hours and double down on something that I'm not really interested in doing right now. So, going into next year, I will continue to do coaching, but I'll do less of it because I need to make room on my schedule to focus on this passive revenue goal. Because I'm not dropping all of the other balls that I already have going in my business. I still have to keep those wheels on the bus. So, I really don't have enough room to put anything else on that bus. So today, Karen is doing yesterday, Karen, a big favor by screwing her head on a little bit better and giving her a little bit of perspective on what it is that really matters to her, what she actually wants to do, what aligns with her brain and her interest, and get after it. So, pardon the interruption. Let's get back to yesterday, Karen. So, those are my goals and how I plan to approach them in 2023. I'm asking you to hold me accountable by giving you an update every month on how my progress is going and what's working and what's not. And I hope that you have one goal that you will think about every time you see me talk about my primary goal. And if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about accountability, structure, boundaries, setting realistic goals, and following through on them, then just let me know because I have so many ideas on this. And this year, we are going to follow through on what we commit to. I'll see you in the next video.